So neither 19. When I run some move there, whenever it was there's more guys. They're scrambling. Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'd like to call the Village of Wolverine Lake regular council meeting for January 10th, Wednesday. To order. We stand for the pledge of the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Here. Dumont. Jeremy.
Here.
Woznicki. Here. McNutt.
Here.
Dendro.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here.
Motion to excuse Dumont.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by, I think it was Mr. McNutt, to excuse Mr. Dumont. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, before we start into anything else in the meeting here, the rest of the agenda, I just wanted to mention that last night we lost a longtime resident and servant of the village, Bob Malik, passed. Bob started in 1982 on ZBA and spent 14 years on and off ZBA. Ended that on 2017. He spent 12 years plus on council. Started from 1986 and ended that last year, 22. He was water board and parks and rec liaison to council within those years, and also he was active in the subdivision association. So just want to let everybody know Bob passed, and I'm sure village will have arrangements. Wanted to have a moment of silence and have his family and Dolores in our thoughts, so prayers. So we could take a minute. Okay, thank you. And with that, additions to business?
None tonight, thank you.
Okay. Approval of our agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Duff,
Second.
second by O'Brien. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. As far as correspondence, that pulled up. Goodness sakes, where is it? Yeah. Before council meetings? There we go. Yep, okay. We had a transportation report from TIA, I think, which our police chief last month alluded to a little bit in our meeting. Also had a letter, email from Mr. Daly regarding snow removal. And I think that's primarily it. Also a letter from Carlisle Warbank regarding some of the donations that the company gives throughout the year. So with that,
Motion to receive and file.
motion by Duff to receive and file. Correspondence?
Second.
Second by O'Brien. Any discussion? All in favor on that? Okay, we are at the first call of the public. Opportunity for citizens to address council on agenda items only. Anybody wish to address council? Please. Let's open the public.
Motion open. Second.
Motion by Duff, second by McNutt. Open public. Please state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Anderson Grandstaff. I am an attorney practicing in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'm here because I've been in communication. I had previously sent a letter to David Gillen regarding the possibility of a recreational marijuana facility in the village of Wolverine Lake. David advised me that I should reach out at the first call to the public and state that I'd like to address the council on this topic, and I can certainly reserve my comments for when we reach the new business agenda, letter E, discussion regarding recreational marijuana.
Okay. Council, want to open up at that point? Yeah. Sure, okay. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Motion to close the public, first call. Motion by Duff. Second. Second by Jeremy. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda.
Motion approved.
Motion by Duff to approve consent agenda. Second. Second by Jeremy. Any discussion on that? And there was quite a lengthy annual police report in there, so.
Wow.
Very comprehensive.
Compliments of Chief Ellsworth.
Yes, lots of paper.
Some of it was hard to tell, though, because of the grass were different shades of gray, and it was hard to tell the grays. If they were really important, were they colored? Was that it?
Originally, yes. Yeah. A couple shades of gray there, but I'm not going to go anywhere else with that one. But, yes, they're color originally.
Okay, but I guess if it was an important graph, it would have been nice to just to be able to read it. You know, better, that's all. Yeah, it was pretty.
Lots of stuff there, yeah. So with that, we have motion and a second, so roll call vote, please.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Knapp?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Pedro?
Yes.
Duff?
Yeah.
Wozniacki? Yes.
Okay, we're at 10A, which is a nice place to be right now because we can actually give out a couple service awards. So first up, see we had,
Todd's first.
yep, Todd's first. So we have Todd Smalley, which I believe is 15 years, right? 15 years service for DPW. So Todd, we got a small token of appreciation. Hey, you want to say anything, or?
No, Todd is one of the anchors over at the DPW, kind of a moderating influence, I think, kind of keeps the waters calm down there in the DPW if it's possible. But 15 down and what, maybe another 10 to go?
Another 10 to go.
All right, sounds great. Thanks for all your work.
Thanks for all your help.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank
Congratulations.
And next up, we have Ryan Crowell. Been with the PD for 5 years, correct?
Correct.
Got a little appreciation plaque for you. Brian.
Hey.
Something to hang on the wall. Thanks for your service.
Ryan is one of the smaller guys in the police department. Just so everybody knows, Ryan's working days right now, but normally what he does is he gets up and he goes to the gym to work out at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that was pretty good when the officers were on 8 or 10-hour shifts, but now they're in 12-hour shifts. And he's still going to be getting up and going to the gym at 4 o'clock. So,
Have to.
yep, I will think about you when I roll over and go back to sleep.
Thanks again for your service, guys.
you. Yeah, thank you.
So, is Rita here?
Jim?
Okay.
Unfortunately, Rena could not be here tonight because she's having a family emergency, so she gives her apologies, and we will have her on the agenda next month to present the audit. But we will make sure you get an audit
Okay.
before.
Perfect. Well, with that, we can bypass our audit presentation then. Moving on to recommendation updates from our engineer.
That means I get twice as long, right?
Sure.
Really, there's not a whole lot going on. The village will be receiving the materials for the ditch enclosures on Wolverine Drive next week. And I met with the contractor out there this week, and he is expecting to start work on the enclosure system, the ditch enclosures in 2 weeks. We're going to start with the Pinecrest to add Adrian section there on Wolverine Drive, and then we'll jump to the Greenway Drain and the north ditch line of Wolverine Drive. So I wanted to let everyone know what that timing is.
Just in time for it to warm up, huh?
Yeah. Hopefully, the ground will freeze a little bit and he can not be in such water condition. The reason we're doing that, of course, those ditches hold water, and that way we can dry up that whole area of the village. Did want to let council know that we closed out 8 right-of-way permits from that Consumer Energy pulls. Every time they do work in the road right-of-way, they pull right-of-way permits as well, and we closed out 8 permits for them in the last week and a half. And I wanted to let council know also, we're starting the construction drawings for the 2024 paving program, for the road paving program. And what we're doing is the same thing we did 2 years ago. We're combining 2 years together. So we'll be doing a program for the 2023-24 budget. We'll be combining that to make it a bigger project and jump it into the next year's budget as well. We get much better unit prices when we do that big of a project. So if council doesn't have any more questions, I'm done.
Great.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. So next off, we have a public hearing for reprogramming of fiscal year 2020 CDBG funding. So at this point...
Motion to open.
Motion to open.
If I could, before we actually open, according to the agenda, we're scheduled to have a public hearing tonight. The public hearing would be for purposes of getting public comment on the proposed shift of our block grant funds from fiscal year, for program year 2020, from the bathroom enclosure improvements that we made to the single-family housing rehab program through the county. The reason for that being because both I've been unable to, and also the county, we've been unable to obtain the necessary paperwork from Stanley Access Technologies, the ones that put in the doors for us to be able to submit through the county to the federal government for reimbursement for the funds. Because it's been a couple years since the project was initially approved, it's been close to a couple years now, a year and a half, since the project was done. The county is under a deadline from the federal government to either spend the money, or if it's not spent, the federal money is going to reclaim the money. So rather than have to turn the money back over to the federal government, what we're talking about doing is shifting the money to the county's rehab program, the housing rehab program, which we have contributed money to in the past. So that was the county's recommendation. I think that makes perfect sense. As part of the reprogramming process, we're required to have a public hearing to comply with federal law and federal guidelines. Between the holidays and vacation schedules, we had a problem getting the notice actually published in the Oakland County Legal News in a timely fashion. So because we weren't able to get the notice of the public hearing for tonight properly scheduled through the legal news, we really can't go forward with the public hearing tonight.
Okay.
So if there is anybody here tonight that wants to address reprogramming, my suggestion would be to go ahead and let them comment if they are here and they want to speak about that. Otherwise, what I would be asking council for is a motion just to reschedule the public hearing for our next regular meeting on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And then we will get the notice scheduled through the legal news. We'll have plenty of time to get it done. We'll be able to move forward next month.
I'll rescind my original motion and make that motion.
Second. Well, is there anybody that wants to speak, I guess? Seeing none? Okay, then we'll move forward with the motion. A motion by Duff, second by Jeremy to reset the public hearing for maybe February 14th
Correct.
for reprogramming of the 2020 CDBG funding. With that, roll call vote, please.
McNutt?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Nedrow?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Wozniacki?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes. Okay, with that, we can just skip by 12A then,
Yeah, we'll carry that over to the February agenda.
and move on to fireworks, I guess, huh? It's a little early for fireworks.
So the recommendation you have for you tonight is for the award of the contract for this year's Tiki Night fireworks. The recommendation at this point is to award the contract to Gen X Pyrotechnics, which is actually located in White Lake. The last couple of years, we've used Zambelli out of Cleveland, Ohio, but Onwards and Upwards took a fairly deep dive into the options this year and has come back with a recommendation that we use Gen X. I guess, Mark, you're a member of ONUP. Maybe you can give council the rest of the background on the recommendation.
Sure. So this was one of the first years that ONUP really pursued multiple quotes to really get an idea of what we're looking at, particularly after having another hike in pricing from Zambelli. We thought it would be prudent to make sure that we're getting bang for our buck. Gen X was recommended to me by a member of Upper Straits Lakes Fireworks Committee who had been working with them for several years. And one of the big things that Gen X offers is not only are they local, but they're a turnkey operation. So from start to finish, the day of the event, they are managing it, taking it out of the hands of other individuals, they have their own barge, they do their own cleanup, they do their own setup, everything, reducing the relying on, in most of our cases, JR to do all that kind of work when JR is getting a little tired and would like to enjoy the 3rd of July at some point. And so this provides all of that and creates hopefully will be a long-term relationship where we're able to rely on them for not only everything, not just the show itself, but everything else that goes into it.
Sounds good. Okay.
Motion to award Gen X the contract for the fireworks for 2024.
And that would be for $15,000 contribution by the village.
Correct. Yeah, the total amount of the contract would be $35,000, the same as it has been with Zambelli the last couple of years, and actually the same as they quoted this year, but the split would be the same as it has been the last couple of years. It'd be correct, $15,000 of budgeted funds from the village, and then Onwards and Upwards would be paying the balance of $20,000.
Okay. So a motion by Duff.
Second.
Second by O'Brien. Any discussion on that?
I just have one comment.
Yeah.
Like last year's show, I thought was probably one of the best, if not the best, that I've seen on the lake in 30 plus years I've been here. They're gonna have a similar show.
That was
Because they
one
have
of
a lot
the-
of extra work to do, putting in a barge and
Right. That was one of the things we kind of said to them. This wasn't a pursuit of dissatisfaction with Zambelli, quite the opposite. It was more of a broader offering that they can provide. And one of the big things that they do have is some of the fireworks, particularly the water one that fired off into the water, the cake that does that, they still have those. Zambelli does not. So there being a different style operation, being a primary lake operation, because they service a lot of lakes within Oakland County and the surrounding area, they understand the kind of fireworks that have that appeal to being on a water show kind of thing. So we're kind of going that this might be that, hoping that direction will work out really well because they understand those desires and those needs and things like that, and who's watching.
I assume they showed you some videos
Yeah.
of some of their fireworks.
Yeah, things like that.
And being local, I would think they could, have that advantage.
Right.
They don't have to truck everything in. Yep.
Walled Lake, Upper Straits, Cass Lake, White Lake.
Would you like Sherwoods too?
I think so. There are several. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I
Must
think
have
they've done,
multiple teams.
yes, he does have several things.
I think they've done some work, I think, for Novi over Walled Lake in the past, I believe, in Waterford also. I had a chance to talk to Jason Trudeau, the principal, when he came in to drop off the contract. He's very anxious to be able to handle the display here in the village. It's something they would love to do, and it does sound like they have quite a bit of experience in the area.
In fact, one of the village interviewed with them, or the ONUP interviewed with them 15 years ago or so, and one of the reasons they didn't go with Gen X was because the 3rd was not available at that time. So now that they have a larger crew and are able to do more lakes, things like that, the third became an option for them because we were very clear that we're the third or not.
We can't move.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. They said, what about moving? Not a chance. We like going home. So
Good. Well, sounds like a great find. Okay, with that, this roll call vote, please.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Kendall.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Wozniacki.
Yes.
Jeremy.
yes.
McNutt.
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is second reading of ordinance 128-3, which is to change the zoning board, or not the zoning board, but the Parks and Rec board from 9 members to 11. So with that, it's the second reading, which would mean if it passes tonight, it's adopted. Correct. So, motion by Jeremini. Your second.
Turn up the volume.
Yeah, we'll start talking a little louder. How's that? Very good. Okay, sorry, Dave. Okay, so had a motion to adopt. Second by O'Brien. Any discussion? Seeing none? Let's do a roll call vote, please.
Kendall.
No.
Duff.
No.
Wozniacki.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
McNutt.
Yes.
O'Brien.
No.
4-3, motion passes. Oh, it doesn't?
We only have 6 tonight.
6 tonight, that's right, tie vote. Okay. Well, I guess we go again?
You can have more discussion and go again, or...
Yep. Anybody have any discussion on it then, I guess?
Those two people who applied originally are still interested in joining. I further have another person who has been asking about looking into the board, and I told them, should the board expand, we would contact them as well. I would also just stress, this board does do more than the other boards do. It does take on more things. In your council packet, the only minutes you had in the front here were from the Parks and Rec Board, because they meet every single month, frequently twice a month, plus they do events. Having the extra board members will go a long way to sustaining the high quality events and work that this board does.
I guess my concern, Mark, is the fact that it's been 9 members for an ungodly amount of years. And I don't understand what the problem is why you have to be a member to be part of the board. I mean, there's people that work on those boards, there's volunteers that work on many boards and issues around the village, and I guess I just don't understand. What I'm afraid is that in 5 years, we're going to have to rescind this ordinance back to 9 members because you're not going to have enough to have a quorum. So that's my concern. I'm not trying to take anything away from any of the members or the board itself. You guys do a fantastic job, and that's not what I'm voting for. So that's my position. I've held fast on that. I just don't think it's right for me to change my position at this point. So that's all I'm going to say.
I just struggle to understand what the fear of that when we've had, for years, the water board was at 7, even though it was at 9. It was ordinance at 9, but it was operating with 7. And there was never a single discussion from council about how do we add members? What do we do? Just left it at 7. It was fine. It was a functioning board. There was never a concern. If the concerns are so high that we have to maintain full boards, then why hasn't this council or previous councils ever had these discussions about how to add members or how to maintain
we've had that-
volunteers?
we've had those discussions
Because in the
in the
5 years that I've been involved in the village, they're heavily involved, those discussions haven't happened. There's been no discussions about, there's been very little to no discussion of compensating or otherwise working to maintain memberships when we have issues consistently with other boards, in particular, not having full boards, not having their full member allotment. Again, like I said, we've had boards operate well below their numbers to the points that they couldn't even have quorums. because of actions partially affected by these councils and also other issues, while you have, to have this fear of, oh, we might have to rescind it or pull it back, the danger of that is so low, is so minimal, and it's the effect of the amount of damage it would do to the village, while the benefits are that we know we have these members, we know we can pass on things, we know we have people who will learn the system, learn how the meetings work, learn events, so that as things change in the board, as people step off, which will eventually happen, frequently in Parks and Rec's case, it's burnout, there will be people with plenty of experience, plenty of understanding, plenty of knowledge to carry that lead.
Okay. I guess the only problem is if you have a 9-person board, to carry a quorum, you have to have 5, right? If you have an 11-person board, you have to carry 6. It just ups your designation for quorum, that's all.
And Parks and Rec has never not had a quorum in my time.
Okay. It's everybody's opinion, I guess. So I guess we want to have a revote?
Is it gonna change much?
I don't know. I guess we can see. Yeah, let's do another roll call, I guess.
No.
Wozniacki?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
O'Brien?
No.
Nedrow?
Well, I guess if Parks and Rec feels that they think they're going to go to that extent, I feel I should hold my ground, but I hate to take away things from boards that are trying to perform too. So I guess if we have to revisit down the road and change things back, I guess maybe that's what we do. But I guess I'll take Parks and Rec at the word, and I guess I'll change my vote to approve it. Thank you. So, with that, I guess it passes. And I just hope things work out positively down the road. We don't have to come back and revisit, so. With that, let's move on to chickens.
Nice segue. Motion to introduce.
So we've discussed this for
Second.
the past 6 months or so.
Yeah, this is a draft of an ordinance. Has been through the ordinance subcommittee that council formed last year, several meetings at that level. Came back to council for some comments. Went back to the subcommittee one more time. Was back to council last month, and now the ordinance is actually in formal ordinance form for your consideration. What you have before you tonight is essentially, this is exactly what was discussed last meeting. So, with the changes that were discussed at that meeting. So.
With that, we have a motion introduced by Mr. Duff. Second by Mr. O'Brien. Any discussion on this?
I'd just like to say again, I know people that have chickens, and I've been to their homes, and it's not very loud. I notice no smell. I get a few eggs. I'm pretty happy. So I don't see, I wouldn't want everybody in the village to have chickens, of course. I think you start out really small, like we're going to, just to make sure that we don't have a problem. But it seems like a good idea to me.
I think our subcommittee met, discussed every possibility. I think we came up with very feasible, reasonable expectations. I don't see any reason that wouldn't work.
I agree. Very good process. So with that, let's do a roll call on this.
Duff?
Yes.
Wozniacki?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Nedrow?
Yes. All right. That is being introduced, and next month it will be put up for approval for adoption, so.
Correct.
Stay tuned to chickens for next month. Okay, we move from that to marijuana. I guess, Dave, you want to introduce at this point?
Council, as Mr. Grandstaff had indicated in his earlier comments, he had submitted a letter to the village that I received late in November, and the letter is in your packet, essentially indicating that he represents a group that is interested in having the village change from an opt-out on recreational marijuana to an opt-in, that the process that they would like to follow would be if council is willing to voluntarily reconsider its position and potentially either to approve an ordinance in a form similar to what was the initiative petition that accompanied his letter, or in the alternative, engage in some discussion or negotiation over different terms that council might be willing to consider on its own. And he's indicated respectfully that if council is not willing to go down that road, or if an agreement can't be reached of some sort, that the group that he represents is prepared to go forward and attempt to obtain enough signatures on the initiative petition to actually get the proposed ordinance in front of the voters at the general election in November. So.
Okay. With that, I guess, Mr. Grandstaff, motion by Duff.
Second.
Second by Jeremy Need. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Mr. Grandstaff, you're up.
I'd like to thank the council for hearing me, and I'd like to thank David for introducing me very well. He did a great job of summarizing the issues that I raised in the letter on it. To be clear, we don't mean to, my philosophy has always been the best way to get a business that's going to be successful and works for the residents of the community is to have engagement with local government. And as David said in his opening comments, there are several different ways that we could go about doing this, both in terms of having a voter-enacted ordinance or in terms of negotiating with the council as to what type of concerns they might have that could be reflected in the ordinance. I know, for example, that having recently looked at the zoning map for the village of Wolverine Lake, that there's realistically only a few prospective locations that would really work for a business in an area like this, and they tend to be concentrated in the northeast area that I believe is around the intersection of Glengarry and Bernstein. So I guess I'm here to address any concerns or questions that you might have, offer to work with the city council and give any feedback about ordinances that could work. We are willing to certainly take into consideration whether there should be any special time, place, or manner restrictions put in, whether the number of establishments authorized should be 1 or 2, the locations where those establishments might be. We're really just looking to get some feedback from the council as to whether they're interested in moving ahead with this proposal. We do think that there is more support and a higher likelihood of a petition ordinance being passed in this upcoming electoral season. And with that, I guess I'd like to answer any questions. I don't know if this is the type of format, but if there were any concerns or questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Well, I guess first off, from my standpoint, I guess you're looking at a retail establishment only?
Yes.
So it would be not a grow operation?
That's correct.
So it would just be...
No micro businesses, no grow operations, and it would be looking for an adult use retail as opposed to a medical retail facility.
Okay.
I have one question. Within 2, maybe 3 miles of here, there's at least 6 that I can think of marijuana operations. How many do we need in a 3-mile circumference?
Realistically, I would think only 1.
Right, except there's, like I said, on Wild Lake, there's all up and down Pontiac Trail and Maple. There's at least 6. There's many of those, there is auto change places, or oil change places, every other. So I question, do we really want to have so many of these types of retail establishments, oil changes? There's just so many of them. Wouldn't we be better suited with something that we don't have enough of? That's my thought. It's not that I don't want it here, it's just I already see a lot. And it just seems like it's being oversaturated.
I kind of, Mr. President, I kind of echo Bill's concerns. I didn't know there's 6. I know for sure there's 3, and there's others that sell CBD, but it's not necessarily. But anyway, do we need more in this area? I personally don't think we do. However, I don't object to any business trying to create and establish a business, in our town. But I do remember last year, it was last year or the year before, it was an off election, and there were several cities on the east side that had that on their agenda, on the elections, and all 3 cities voted it down. So I think, my personal opinion is twofold. Number 1, I don't really think it's necessary. But number 2, I think this is much too big of a question for even, the council to decide. I say go ahead, get your signatures, and let's put it to the vote of people in the village. Do they want more? That's my suggestion.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, just to piggyback on Bill's here, from where we're sitting, there's 2 that are 2.5 miles and 1 that's 3 miles away. My question, Mr. Grandstaff, was in section 1 purpose, number 6, you have in there address and repair the harm caused to communities disproportionately impacted.
Yes.
What harm have you guys identified in our community as a result of the prohibition?
Well, to be clear, the petition ordinance language is lifted from a larger model ordinance that we've circulated with other constituencies. And the way that we do address it is that I believe at a later point in the petition ordinance, there is the ordinance establishes an application system that awards points to applicants based on certain things included with their application criteria. And one of those criteria is whether the applicant will make a commitment to hiring people who have been adversely affected by marijuana prohibition. And usually that's in an effort of either hiring people who have previously been criminalized or served prison time for marijuana possession sentence. There's also, I should point out, other application criteria such as commitment to local community, which rewards applicants who make a binding legal commitment to hiring local employees and contractors. I hope that answers your question.
Well, it answers why, but I mean, you really haven't identified any harm caused by the prohibition of it. You really haven't. It's.
I would say that marijuana prohibition can have an adverse impact on a lot of people who were previously arrested for possession, especially when they weren't selling drugs or in a nonviolent context, and that this would be addressing some of the time and opportunities that may have been lost by those people.
But those arrests aren't a village concern, it's a state concern, right? Those are state laws?
Largely, although there is a lot of variation in village enforcement.
So we don't have
No, I
control over the state
take
laws.
your point, and I would agree that it's not necessarily a village concern.
And, Mr. President, I'd actually ask our deputy chief what his opinion on this is.
I can, from past experience working with Southline, and the Southline City Council had turned it down. And I agree with Councilman O'Brien and Councilman Nutters. There's so many around here. I still don't think that he's actually answered his question regarding the harm. We haven't seen it. And so,
I don't see a need for it from past experience. I know that when I used to work at Southline City Council, Southline Police Department, they came before the council and they got shot down for the same reasons that I think we're all concerned here. And I still believe that he has answered Councilman McNutt's questions about the harm to the village. And so the fact that there are so many close by, I just don't see the need for one. But I also agree with Councilman Kaznicki, if they want to put it to a vote, let voters decide, okay, but I just don't feel that it's necessary to have that type of business in our village.
Well, I do know, I sat on the planning commission also, and back when all this stuff was starting to come into play, planning actually looked at what was available by state law of placement in our village, and there was really only 2 parcels that would even qualify. One being over off of Benstein, I think the other one was off of Decker and South Commerce. So, we're primarily, we have very little commercial at all. No commercial to speak of. A couple office, small areas of general office, and very little retail. Most of it's, we're a bedroom community, right? It's a recreational community. We live on a lake. So that's why planning decided not to go forward at that point, and that was the medical marijuana, and then after the residential marijuana, passed, recreational, that's why we opted out the first time, so, like I said, I think it's, very small amount of areas that would even be legal to even put something in here, so that's why we opted out, and it's up to us to decide which way to go, I guess, from now, so.
So, and just to clarify, if you choose to just stick with your position that you currently take, which is to not allow these facilities, then the applicant could go get a petition, is required to get 35% of the elected voters, or of the voters of the village as of the last general election. And then you could either adopt that ordinance at that time or put that ordinance on the ballot. So it would be a 35% of the voters to get the petition to you, to get the ordinance on the ballot, and then a majority vote on the ballot, so.
Okay.
If, let's say, the goes to vote, gets approved by the public, and this ordinance is put in place, who would then have the ability to amend the ordinance?
Well, the ordinance would be put in place as it was proposed on the ballot.
Right.
So, and there may be restrictions on that, on amending that ordinance, because it was an initiative ordinance.
Then maybe so they would then have to go to further public votes to modify and change things in that case.
Potentially.
Okay.
Who drafts the initial ordinance?
It's the ordinance that is petitioned, and then that's the ordinance that gets.
They would be drafting the ordinance?
So he's provided this is like the template that they've used, and as he's explained, some of the language that's in here probably wouldn't be in the final ordinance that they send. But that form, they'll figure all that out, and that's what they'll submit their petition on to get people to approve that. That's what they want put on the ballot, or that's what they want village council to just adopt.
Okay.
That's kind of, in a way, we're looking at something that's really not going to be what originally proposed, ultimately it's proposed.
Well, it's the 2 adult marijuana retail facilities, and then the scoring process, I think, pretty much. I can't imagine it's going to be this complex ordinance in the village of Wolverine Lake, but that seems to be what you're proposing. There's a lot of other language in there that I think he'll probably remove, but
I can say, if I may, that one of the things that would be most likely to be adjusted in any ordinance that was circulated would be decreasing the number of adult use establishments from 2 to 1. Just given not only what we've talked about, which I can go with your assessment, that there aren't really that many locations that meet the requirements of the law. In general, we do try to have a point-based system that's as objective as possible, because that decreases the likelihood of any, it decreases the likelihood of conflicts or of subjective disputes regarding the quality of application, which is why a point-based system is usually what we would prefer to go ahead with. And I do think it would be substantially similar in its form to what it is with that one modification of perhaps one less. There are some of the criteria that I mentioned earlier, be it people disadvantaged by marijuana prohibition or the community benefits agreements are ones that we have been known to adopt or, to include or exclude depending on the municipality in question.
Okay.
I was gonna say, as people
Any other
said,
questions?
not directly to, no, not to Anderson.
Thank you very
I
much.
think I might have one.
Yeah,
oh, sure.
One question. Do we know how many there are in Commerce?
Commerce doesn't, there's.
They opted out, I believe.
There's 3 in Walled Lake,
Okay.
I don't think it's
and
I'm just-
Commerce is not approved.
I'm just wondering, in a way, since you came all the way from Lansing and Ipsy, came all the way from Ipsy, and you're only going to get one shot here to go through all the legal and all the time and everything. Why is that so important when there are such larger I mean, we're a very small village, and if somebody in the village wants, they can go up to Lumi or the place right next door to it, or just down the street to the
Zorbos
Greenhouse.
I'm wondering it just seems odd that you're willing to put so much effort into such a tiny village to get one location. It seems to me is there something, is it just making sure you get one in every municipality, or?
No, I can say that, first, my being here is mainly intended to just provide a back and forth conversation, and I'm not trying to exert any sort of pressure on it by that. I am aware that there are municipalities around here who have authorized other recreational facilities. This is a particular area that my client believes is has a relative unfulfilled need and does have significant support if an ordinance were proposed, and those are the 2 main criteria on it. Now, he may or may not be correct in his assessment of that. And I'm also here to really gauge the board's interest in cooperation and assess that and to answer any questions.
That answered my question. You have a client that wants to open a shop here in the village. I missed that part earlier, apparently.
What other communities have you guys looked at and petitioned?
There have been several around southeast Michigan.
And within
Oakland County.
the current area, Oakland County?
I know the village of Milford received one.
I don't believe that there are any others in Oakland County in particular. I agree, and I think that's largely a product of the fact that a lot of municipalities have already opted in, and that there is some saturation going on, at least in other areas.
I just wonder, how can you guys justify a lack of access when we're sitting at one of the northernmost points in the village, and there's, again, 2 there 2.5 miles away and 1 that's 3 miles away? So, how can you justify that we are underserved?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say if that is the case that you would be underserved. If it might be an ease of access thing, and even minute differences can make a big difference for someone, especially if someone is suffering from a medical condition or has limited mobility. And I'm not necessarily saying that's the case, but there is something to be said for convenience and also for having it in your own hometown.
The ones that are far away do deliver. We do have a new countywide transportation millage that allows us...
People's Express.
People's Express.
Yeah.
Economic and cost-effective and dependable, so I just, I appreciate you guys, what you want to do, but your reasons and arguments for it are valid.
Okay. Do we have any more questions from Mr. Cranstad?
Thank you all very
Okay.
much.
Yep. Motion by Duff to close. Second by Mr. O'Brien. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. So with that, does council have any preference?
Sounds to me like everybody's kind of all on the same page and just leave it the way it is. Leave our village the way it is, no. And if they want to go ahead, and we can't stop them from from gaining a petition. So
I agree.
I would agree. I would say that if the public wants it and it gets approved and then somebody sets up shop, then let capitalism decide if we're saturated or not. And if we aren't, then they'll do great. And that'll be good for the village because there'll be a business open and people getting work and things like, and we'll get the fee and everything. And if not, that'll determine that as well.
I agree. I think we have consensus to sit where we're at right now regarding marijuana, and we'll see which way things proceed in the future, I guess. That's pretty much what everybody thinks? Yep. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Grandstaff, for your time and comments. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, move on to the second call to the public. Opportunity for anybody to address us on anything, I guess. So, motion to open.
Motion to open.
Motion by Duff. Second. Second by O'Brien. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Mr. Laybourne.
How are you?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Is this thing working?
Yes, it is.
That one's working.
I gotta get some earplugs or whatever the hell they call them. Do you know what this is, Brian? United States citizen.
Okay.
I'm a legal immigrant. You know what this is? I have the right to vote.
Sure.
Isn't that nice? Last time I was at the meeting, you challenged me that I had an agenda to go to the water board and the planning. You don't have the capacity to say that to me. I have the right to go to any meeting that is open to the public.
Yes.
Got it? Now, you could have asked me, David, was there something we should know about the meetings you're going to? And I would have been glad to tell you. But you didn't do that. You tried to push me down like I was not a citizen of this country. And you know what? I'm real proud of it because I came here at 11 years old and I was born during the Greek civilization. We had over 500,000 people die of starvation. I went many times to bed crying because I didn't have food. And these wonderful people from Toledo, Ohio, adopted me at the age of 11. I graduated at 22 with 2 degrees. By 29, I had bought 3 houses, and I was building my house of Shaken. So I'm not a loser. Got it? I was given the most prestigious scholarship at the university, the Marathon Oil Marketing Scholarship for leadership. And if you have time, I'll tell you how I got that leadership. And I could go on and on about my life. I have 2 boys. One of them went to Butler, got his economics degree, and he went to Purdue, got his engineering degree. He went to Indiana, got his law degree. The other one went to Yale. That takes parenting to do that. I took 5 years out of my life, and we traveled around the country. 47 states we checked. And you know what I did? Every time we went around the country, I looked what the communities looked like. And that's why we have the tiki candles. Because we were in Indiana, one of my friends, college friends, Lake, had the tiki candles. And the boys said, hey, Dad, we ought to have that at the lake. Guess what? 30-some years later, you folks still have it here. And if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be able to drive these darn fast boats around here because DNR didn't want you to lower the lake 5 feet. It was through my mechanism that I got them to give us 5 feet to lower it so we can get the... How about the weed control? I flew down to Florida to see sonar, how it worked and everything. And I came back and go through the board to put it through. And it was the most successful, the best the lake ever looked. I can go on and on, but that's only 25 years that I put in this community. But I'm not here to talk about that. What I'm not here to talk to you about is that I was getting warrants for my arrest, one after another, from this police department. And if anybody would like to sit down with me so I can show it to them. I know everybody's sympathetic towards Ellsworth. I do too. But what he did was wrong. They wrote a whole bunch of police reports that were false. All the 3 people that were involved in my neighborhood. And they were just writing and writing. They were instructed, if we got enough reports, we can go for PPO on you. I got 19, and they took me to court. The judge saw it through it. I can go through all these, I think 4 or 5 of them. Look at here. Look at this. And all these are dismissed. Okay? They were just shooting. Finally, they got me by lying on this one. I got that report last year from you. When I asked for that report, they told me that, what's his name? The prosecutor has it. I called the prosecutor, he says, no, the village has it. And I was going back and forth. When I got that report and read what they wrote down, it was completely the opposite. I had taken my sons to Baltimore, at Johns Hopkins to play a lacrosse camp. I drove 8 hours in that motorhome, coming home around 9:30. I was exhausted driving a 40-foot motorhome. Apparently, the kids had somebody over there to scare them. So they made up a report that I was the one that went over there. And they put down I told them we went to watch Jenny, who was her name, Jenny, or one of the gals that was one of those radical shows. Anyhow, but we went in the house around 9:30. We crashed. All of us were tired. About 9:45, I went to bed, followed by my wife. My sons like to watch that ESPN with 2 guys arguing all the time. And I said, the heck with you guys, I'm going to go to bed. Well, they said that they had somebody over there that scared the kids and this and that. But I found out from the neighbors, it was Mr. Donnelly with the flashlight that chased the kid that came over to my house to ask the boys if they wanted to play basketball. And the boys said, we were too tired. The next day, Ellsworth comes with Cunningham, and Ellsworth talked to me. Cunningham didn't at all. And he says, what did you do last night? I said, I drove 12 hours, came home. We went to inside. I crashed. I was exhausted after 12 hours. And I went to bed, and the boys were watching. He said, I don't know. I said, well, I'll tell you what. My wife and kids are in the house. Go in there and ask them. And
Can I interject really quick? If you could, when did this happen?
it doesn't matter.
It was recent?
Because I got
Well, fill me in, because
there's more.
Was it
There's
just
more.
recent? I'm just curious.
There's more to come.
Okay, I'm just curious. as to
Okay?
when.
Because I had a lady in the house that she was being sexually assaulted, and we called the police. And I was in Brighton, and I started from Brighton all the way here, and I beat the police to my house unshaken. That is absolutely ridiculous.
I'm not arguing with that. I'm just curious. as to when
Okay,
this
but
occurred.
I got other ones to tell you at that time. Right now, since I got that report, I wanted to cover you because that was the biggest one right there. Because they wanted to get me in jail. Okay, and it was dismissed. All these were dismissed. And I'll tell you what. Right now, I'm sitting with a judge and a prosecutor. I got all my boxes from all our meetings, the 10 years I have been here, all the minutes, and I'm able to pull them, where the chief said, yes, if somebody has a boat on the lake and doesn't belong there, we can get them out. That's not true. Okay? When people do not have riparian rights, you can't put a dock in there, and they weren't enforcing the law. But right now, I just wanted to give you a little run, because I'll be coming every month to to cover what has happened to me. And
Point of order,
Brian?
President, this is going on.
Brian?
past the time limit.
you know, because of the way you treated me, I would have brought my trust to show you what I think I did, was put in the trust that I was going to give a full scholarship to anybody that goes to technical school or college for anybody that is in the village. But I don't think the village is what it used to be. You know where I'm going to put the money at? T2T organization. Because I'm impressed with the kind of work they are doing. And you, sir, took that kind of money out of this village for the kids.
All set?
I sold a product to a professor, and she's going to be writing a book on me. Because you only saw about 1% what I just told you. Get some of these books and read it. Read history. We're not a pushover. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Leaborn. Okay, moving on, topics for January 24th work session. Motion to close.
Does anybody else would like to?
Anybody else want to speak for the second call? Seeing none. Second. Motion by Duff.
Second.
Second by Mr. McNutt. Close second call to public. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now we can set topics for January 24th work session. I don't believe we really have anything yet.
I don't have anything for this one. No.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by McNutt to cancel January. O'Brien. Okay. January 24th work session. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Pending business.
Just to follow up real quickly, I think we can plan on our standard February work session to talk about goal setting and long-range planning to help us put the budget together for the upcoming fiscal year.
Fair enough. Update from Deputy Chief Slovak.
Councilman O'Brien, I have to really agree with you that the most recent Tiki Night fireworks was the best I have ever seen as well. Just know that.
That's the only one you've ever seen.
Well, it's okay. It's the best one, right? It's the best one, too.
Comes with an asterisk.
Chief Ellsworth is under the weather lately, and so he asked me to fill in, so I said gladly, absolutely. Thank you for allowing me to come before you this evening. Just a couple things for you real quick. Our patrolmen began working the 12-hour shifts this past Saturday, so one of the main reasons is so we can have a little bit more people working the shifts during the main more aggressive or critical incidents between the hours of 7 p.m. to 4 a.m. So we're going to have 2 people working during those shifts, and sometimes when our sergeant is working the afternoons, we'll have 3 people on between 7 p.m. and midnight. So we're going to continue to monitor that from the patrol perspective and as the administrative perspective as well. Make any changes if necessary, but it's only a trial period for 3 months. So the officers are really looking forward to it, and so far so good. So we're early into this, but Chief Ellsworth has submitted the police department the annual report on your packet. If you guys have any questions about anything, get a hold of one of us. We're more than happy to sit down with you or discuss something, or call us or stop in, and we'll be more than happy to go over the charts. See, so. And one last thing, the winter parking ordinance is in effect until March 31st. Please, no parking on the streets. Sometimes when we have to call out the snow, we want to be able to help the DPW by allowing them to just plow cleanly. There's a possibility that you may be issued a citation or even impounded if it gets bad enough where we have to get down. So the main reason to clean the streets is so obviously for the safety and well-being of travelers throughout their city and the community and our citizens, but also if an emergency vehicle needs to get through, we want to make sure that there's not some snow barricaded truck that's sitting there for a while. So we just ask that you will just help us do that and spread the word to those that are watching and listening. So that's all I have. If you have any more questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer.
I don't have any. Anybody else? Appreciate the update. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, Treasurer Hanson.
I just wanted to give my condolences to the Malik family. He was really a great guy. It was such a pleasure knowing him for so many years and working with him. when I came in here for my interview and he was on the council, and it was just so nice to have those familiar faces on the council to look to. And he told me later that he came he came early from his trip to be at that meeting. So I'm just really fond of him, and I'm really sorry to his family and friends. I'm really, really going to miss him. He's really a great guy. Again, I'm sorry about the audit. We are going to make sure that you have the audit in your hands as soon as we get a copy of it. And she's having a family emergency. I don't know the nature of it, but as soon as we have it, we'll make sure that you guys have it. And we're working on our W-2s and our 1099s, so you guys will be getting that in the mail. And that's pretty much it for me.
Okay, great, thanks. Mr. Gillum?
Thank you, Mr. President. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I obviously also extend my thoughts and prayers to Dolores Malik and the rest of their family, too. The period of time that I've been working here at the village, I worked fairly closely with Bob for the couple years that he was on the council, and you could disagree with Bob, but I don't think you could ever argue or you could never dispute the fact that he was doing what he thought was in the best interest of the village. He was very genuine and very sincere. So, again, as indicated before, once we have any information about any arrangements, we'll let you know. But again, we'll be thinking about Dolores, and I'll try to reach out to her in the next day or two and just let her know if there's anything that she needs. She should feel free to reach out to any of us. Absolutely. Again, pass my thoughts and best wishes along to the chief, who's home recovering. He's under the weather this week. I talked to him yesterday, and he was doing better, but he's still a little bit rough. So I don't think we'll probably see him back in the office until next week. We've got Deputy Chief Sovic keeping an eye on things next door, so we're in good hands.
Got a solid team.
We do. All up and down the bench. Right, we absolutely do. So, but hopefully the chief will start to feel better too. So, the Deputy Chief stole my thunder about the no parking. You can keep your cars off the street at night. Also, just a reminder to everyone that although Monday is Martin Luther King holiday, it is a legal holiday. It will not affect trash pickup here in the village. So get your trash out on Sunday night, Monday morning, or else it won't get picked up for a whole other week. So.
And village office is open?
We will be open and working next week, yes. Yep, we will, so. And then just a reminder too, we do have a brief administrative committee meeting after the regular meeting is done tonight. That's what I've got tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council comments. Let's go to Ms. Kuznicki.
Thank you, President. My thoughts are also with the Malik family. When I was on council before, I sat here and Bob sat here, and just a sweet man. And he was my lone west side of the lake tiki candle seller. So he's just very sweet. I will miss him. It's really sad. Just a case in point, I don't know if this is probably the area to say it or not, but I will not be here next month. I'll be on
Fair enough.
vacation. So,
Vacation, what's that?
well, it was something that was planned a year and a half ago before I came on board, so I didn't know I was going to be here. So I will miss next week. And I hope John feels better soon. And afterwards, if you have a minute, I do have a question for you, Chris. Okay?
I don't charge much for answers.
Oh, okay. Well, I have some candy. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Our condolences, thoughts and prayers for the Malik family. Bob was a great guy. He was sitting there the last go-around of the council, and got to know him pretty well. He was always good in terms of giving you his opinion on something, and never strayed away from calling it like it was.
Yep.
So, yeah, definitely miss him.
Very true. Bill?
condolences to the Mallard family. Although I only knew Bob for 3 years, I had a lot of fond memories, especially during COVID when he was having difficulty with his iPad. That was always a treat. Yeah. But he was a great guy, and he always had really good comments to share, and had some great insight in everything. And I will certainly miss him. Hoping the chief gets better. Tell him good luck, and wish everybody the best for next month.
Okay, Mike?
Great condolences to the Mallard family. He was a champion for the village. Everything he did, he was saying, was with the village in mind. He was one of those guys that people that was selfless in his commitment to the village. So we'll be nice at that. Chief, feel better. Mark?
My condolences to the Malik family. Bob was always the person who encouraged his neighbors to get involved and encouraged them to come to council meetings and share their frustrations and whatever their concerns were. And he really always cared about the village. He loved being here and being a part of it. And I'm really glad we got the tree survey done, and started working on the village trees before he passed, because he pushed that for so long, and finally we started doing something about that. And in fact, that was the last council meeting he was at, was when we did the tree survey. And also, I'd like to congratulate the University of Michigan football team on winning the national title. Finally. It felt like forever, but that was a really nice Monday. Yes, absolutely.
They got something the Lions didn't get done, right?
It's Michigan versus everybody else. It was pretty sweet. And a Happy New Year.
Thank you. Bob always had a neat perspective on how to get people to think about things. I mean, he'd always ask a question, but it was always thought-provoking whether he was on council or he was in the audience. And that was something I'll never forget about Bob. He really did a lot of good things for the village. Like everybody else said, he had the village in his heart. I always looked out for what he was doing for us. With that, Godspeed, Bob. And I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremini. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Good night.